Alright, howdy folks, and welcome to a Gridiron Live. Today we're going to take a little bit of a break from football, if you can believe that, and we're going to be playing NBA Live 96. 96 I chose because they didn't have any 3D players, any models, 3D models on the players. So they still use the 2D sprites, and I kind of like that look of 2D sprites in a 3D space. So we're going to go ahead and try that. I'll be playing as the Spurs. I think the Spurs are at home. We shall see. I'm just trying to figure out so I can change the title of the video. Let's see who is at home. I just had my breakfast / lunch. So got my energy levels up. So the Spurs are at home. Okay, good. Now keep in mind, I don't know a lot about basketball. And I'm not really good at them because I don't play them. I just know you take it to the basket and you shoot, right? Here comes Johnson. I don't know any of the players either. Got Van Exel. It's quite a name. So surprisingly, this game does have a lot of options as far as the rule set. You can turn out of bounds on or off. Basically, you can turn off all the basketball rules, which is kind of crazy. Shoot a 3 there. Is that 3 rebounds in a row? Yeah, you can turn off traveling and turn off the 3-second key rule, and kind of funny. It's quite a name, Del Negro. Let's see if I can get on the inside here. There we go. It's 2-4. I think I have the 3-second rule off, if I remember. So Robinson takes the ball away. Got double teamed there for a little bit. Let's try to get some help. Boom. That was kind of silly. I took the ball away in the air and then I landed with it. What's up, Z64? I don't think I have this one. I had 97 on Genesis. Now this game plays a little bit like the earlier NBA Lives, which makes sense. I mean, it's the same game franchise. The gameplay does feel very smooth. Like the players kind of have good momentum to them. They don't feel too jittery. They kind of accelerate and decelerate, which is nice. I don't feel a lot of resistance when I get inside the three what's it called? The three-pointer line. So I don't know how tough the game actually is. But I have it set to starter right now, which is the middle difficulty. Nice shot there. Take the lead 8-5. Most of the basketball games that I've played, well, actually the basketball game that I've played the most is ESPN NBA 2K5. That's back before when 2K was synonymous with basketball. Yeah, I remember ESPN 2K5, NBA 2K5 was a very good game. I wasn't even a huge fan of basketball, but I really liked the franchise mode, and the presentation, of course, was great. But as far as NBA Live, I've mostly just played the ones on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. Remember, I had some family. I went to a family member's house back in the early 2000s, and one of my relatives there had NBA Live. It was probably like 2001 or something. 2003 or 4 probably. It was NBA Live for the PC. And I remember liking that game because it had like a single player practice mode. So you could take one player and practice with them. I remember I would kind of hide away in his room just playing that the whole time. Let's see if we can get a block. I think the PC version of 2000 is the highest rated one. I don't know what the ratings are, like what the like how well the games are rated. I do know that a lot of people think NBA Live is inferior to 2K, and I guess the fact that NBA Live hasn't been able to keep consistent titles out is kind of proof of that. But NBA Live 2000, I'm not sure if that came out for the PlayStation 2 or just for the PlayStation. I bet it had a version for the 64 probably. Oh, another basketball game that I remember liking a lot was, what was it? I think it was NBA Showtime. I know NBA Jam is the one where it's like two versus two, but there was another one where you could, I think you could play as the mascots. I think that was Showtime, and that was back on the Dreamcast. I remember loving that game. My uncle, he had a Dreamcast, and he'd wake me up early in the morning on the weekend. He'd just stick a Dreamcast controller in my hand, and he's like, "We're gonna play NBA Showtime or whatever it was." It's pretty fun. How do we steal? Is it square? Somebody get it. That thing just does not want to go in. I have 2,000 for both PC and N64. Showtime is better than Jam even. Is Showtime considered to be like arcade gameplay? I can't really remember. Because I know Jam is. There we go. The Van Exel guy is kind of short. We're gonna rush to the basket with Johnson and we fall. I guess if you sprint too much, you'll fall. It's 2 defensive fouls in a row. It's the one with the NBC stuff, right? Yeah, it's NBC Showtime. I'm pretty sure it has the NBC branding. I think it was a midway game, maybe? I might be wrong. Probably not. But I remember you could enter the codes before the game started. Kind of like, I guess Blitz lets you do that. And kind of like Mortal Kombat where you can enter in random codes and then depending on the code, different stuff happens. I seem to remember being able to do that in Showtime. They sure do take their time with the ball. Here we go. Oh, I pressed square. I mean, yeah, square. I just ran straight out of bounds with it. I was trying to dunk. Yeah, then it's basically just Jam with 3D player models. Really. But it wasn't made by the same developer, right? You're just saying it has similar gameplay to Jam? Or did Showtime, was that 2 versus 2 as well? Because if Showtime has 2 versus 2, then I guess Showtime is like a direct competitor to Jam. I don't know. I'm kind of starting to doubt my memory now. But it was on the Dreamcast, and you could play as mascots. So at the end of the first half, the Lakers are down 19-27 versus the San Antonio Spurs. Again, not really a basketball fan, but I think I liked this these Spurs colors back then. The light blue, the pink, and the yellowish orange. Now it's just black and white, which is kind of boring. The original jam was made by Midway, but Acclaim owned the rights, so Midway wasn't allowed to make the later ones. Okay. Acclaim. So the top performers, so we got Eldon Campbell for the Lakers, 2 points, versus David Robinson for the Spurs at 4 points. This music is so 90s. Acclaim was the one that made Quarterback Club, if I'm not mistaken. It's another football game and long list of football games that are in the graveyard. Come on. Would have been cool if they had the refs in this game. And he misses the corner three. Hang Time, yes. So they made Hang Time and Showtime to compete against their own game, basically. I forgot about Hang Time. So Hang Time, Showtime, and Jam are all basically competing games. That's interesting. I didn't know that about those games. I totally forgot about Hang Time. I got a score here. I don't remember too much from Hang Time. I've seen a lot of Jam. I kind of sort of remember Showtime. But I mean, it really just depends. If it's on the Dreamcast, then it's probably the one that I played. I don't think it was Jam. I don't even know if Jam is on the Dreamcast. God. The controller I'm using is a Logitech controller, so it's not really good, but I really love the D-pad. don't know what kind of D-pad it is, but I've never had any other controller that has this D-pad. It just feels so right. Van Exel. It's an exotic name. Boom, there's a dunk. Showtime is Dreamcast and N64. Hang time is Genesis and N64. And it was probably Showtime. I seem to remember it being 5-on-5, but if it's competing with Jam, then it was probably like 2 versus 2 or something. Something less than 5. Boom! That one deserved a glass break right there. Here comes Elliott. Really putting a beating on the Lakers. Well, I guess 10 points. I don't know how much that is in basketball. You can score pretty quickly, though. D-pad is actually why I prefer the Saturn these days, even though I grew up with N64. Yeah, the thing with D-pads is, like, take for example the Super Nintendo controller. The D-pad, it's like hard plastic, and it doesn't feel like it's very, like, it doesn't travel very much. So you're kind of pushing into plastic edges for a while, for a long time, as you play longer and longer. So after a while your fingers kind of hurt. And then the PlayStation D-pad, probably have a PlayStation controller here. The PlayStation D-pad was definitely a lot more comfortable, but the buttons sit very low to the surface of the controller. Now this is the Logitech that I'm using. This D-pad, I don't know what it is about it. It's like it moves a lot, so it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your fingers. And it also has a mode switch, so games that lock you into the analog controller, the analog stick, you can switch it, and so now you can use analog movement with the D-pad. And the D-pad has all 8 directions, of course, but it's really clicky, and it doesn't feel like it's smushed like a lot of D-pads, like the Xbox 360 control D-pad is one of the better ones. I do like it. So it feels closer to the 360 one, to where, but this one moves more. Like it, when you press down on it, it angles more, so it's more comfortable. But other than that, this controller isn't that great. But for these games that need the D-pad, I do like it a lot. A control that I haven't held in a long time is actually the Genesis one. I remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog with that one. So I don't really remember how the form factor felt. It would be cool just for the sake of novelty if Sega came out with like a new updated version of the Sega Genesis controller. Be kind of cool. The Saturn doesn't have any comfort issues. The edges are all rounded and there aren't any arrows on it. Yeah, that's one that I haven't used at all. Is the Saturn one. I forget if that one kept the 6 face buttons. Like most controllers these days have 4. The Genesis was a little different in that it had 6, 3 on top of each other. I do know people like that kind of layout for fighting games. Not sure why. But the Saturn, the Genesis controller, I do know is more comfortable than the Super Nintendo, because the Super Nintendo one is kind of small. After a while, your fingers start cramping because you're kind of holding a small controller. And that was back before controllers really started filling out your hands, like the PlayStation did and the Nintendo 64. Nice 3. Saturn controller is basically just an improvement on the Genesis. Was the Saturn the one that had the CDs? Or was that a separate thing called Sega CD? I can't remember. Here we go. I thought we were going to dunk. And for the life of me, I can't remember any games for the Saturn. Sega CD was a disc add-on for Genesis, while the Saturn was a separate console that used CDs. Okay, so I remember there being like an attachment, and I guess that was for the Genesis. Yeah, that makes sense now. What would be cool is if Sega kind of got back into the console industry I think their last one was the Dreamcast. And that one suffered an untimely death. People say that was because of the PlayStation 2 coming out. And basically the Dreamcast was a great console, but it just happened to come out right before the PlayStation 2, which is universally considered to be an even greater console. But it would be cool to see Sega get back into the console business and not really compete with Xbox and Sony, or Microsoft and Sony, but rather do something more like what Nintendo is doing. Nintendo is obviously in the console business, but they don't compete directly all the time with Xbox and PlayStation because they have exclusives and they have a very unique console. Their consoles are very unique. So if Sega did something where they called it the Genesis 2 or Genesis something or other, or some other cool name, and then find a way to release exclusives on the console, and just find some kind of gimmick that would make it different. Saturn's best-selling game, I think, was Madden 97, but it had ROM, Tomb Raider, along with Daytona USA and House of the Dead. I remember Daytona for the Dreamcast. So that was like a 30-minute game. Yeah, I remember Daytona. The Dreamcast. I think it's on the Dreamcast. And Madden, I would expect Madden to be one of the better selling games. So I think I have time for one more, since it was only 30 minutes. Cut down on the quarter length. And you know what I should do? I should bump up the difficulty. How do I go back? Can I go back? No. The first Resident Evil. See, I remember Resident Evil coming out first for PlayStation, but I guess it came out first on the Saturn. So I'm going to... Can we restart the game here? Whatever. A lot of Saturn's games were also on PlayStation. I remember seeing football games for the Saturn, and I guess they didn't look that appealing to me. But I haven't actually played them. Like I don't even have an emulator for it, so I can't say a whole lot. But I'd have to go back and see what games are on the Saturn that I haven't played. Boom. Yeah, none of my friends or family had a Saturn. The Madden games were the best. NFL 97 had some interesting features, though. Were they features that were only on the Saturn? Or was it just because Madden NFL 97 had those features across all versions? Even though I don't really play Madden that much, pre-2004 Madden, I'm more willing to entertain. I do like Madden 98 with the PlayStation. I think NFL 97 had a create a play feature that Madden didn't. Oh, NFL 97. Okay, I was thinking of Madden NFL. Yeah, I forgot there were the early Sega football games. Yeah, I've played 95. I remember really liking the graphics in that one. But that was for the Genesis. And I guess those were the predecessors to Visual Concepts football games on the Sega platforms. But speaking of create a play, Game Day was the one that had the play editor. I don't know if it was as far back as 97. They might have had it in Game Day 98. I might be wrong. But I seem to remember it being in one of the earlier ones. Or starting in the earlier ones. But you know what other game had a play editor? I think it was Emmitt Smith football. Or the Super Nintendo. Emmitt Smith is one of those more obscure football games. I like Madden 98 on the PlayStation because it has the side of view camera. I don't know if they have it in the Sega 98 version or the Saturn 98. Okay, Emmitt Smith had a play creator. Might have been one or two other games that had it. And then Madden had their play creators, I think, in the early 2000s. And then they dropped that feature. Boom, three-pointer. I was never much into the play creators, just because I could barely handle the playbooks that already were on the game. So making my own, I might have done it a couple times. It's just, you didn't really have to, because there were so many plays already, and I hardly understood what I was looking at. And also, I didn't know how much of a difference it really made, beyond a couple things. But games that could really use a play creator were games like Game Day, where their playbooks, their default playbooks weren't very extensive. So if you wanted to make a really unique playbook, you could. Because there weren't that many plays in the game by default. Kind of hard to steal the ball. The Saturn versions of Madden were straight ports of the PlayStation. You can cheese the games a lot with created plays. I figured that was the case. With created plays. I don't know to what extent they tested all of their in-game plays, because people still found money plays that worked, you know, 70-80% of the time. So Madden was in no short supply of cheese. But to be fair, there was a little bit of cheese in All Pro Football 2K8. It was very hard to do. But I remember playing All Pro Football 2K8 online. And there was this one player, I always recognized him when I would play him. What he would do is, like during kickoffs, during field goals, he would move his defensive lineman over just a little bit, and he would dive him, and then his player would get through every single time. So kicking field goals and extra points was like a no-go with him. It was stupidly annoying. But he was very, very good at that. There's a little bit of cheese in the 2K football games. Only in 2K8 though. There's this one guy that would play with I was part of a group that would all get together and get online at the same time so we could play games against each other. And we were all familiar with the 2K8 editors, so you can change their names and stats and stuff. But what this guy would do is he would make his running backs like 300 pounds, and he just thought it was normal. Like, to him, he claimed that he was fixing the running backs because, according to him, the running backs were broken by default. So every single one of his teams in 2K8 had 300-pound running backs. And then he had some stupid teams, like everyone's like 8 feet tall. All the receivers are, have perfect stats, just dumb stuff like that. I always like to play honest. Well, it's not that he wasn't playing honest. He was very upfront about what he did. But I always like just using what the game gave you. That 2K8 thing sounds like a Tecmo Super Bowl. Yeah, it's... There were actually a couple things in 2K8 that were kind of annoying. Like, you could... if you... There was a certain way to kick the ball off, like during kickoffs. They would kick it like it would go kind of like towards a coffin corner, so it would bounce inside the corner of the 10-yard line, and the ball wouldn't bounce into the end zone or outside of the outside of out of bounds. So it would hit the corner and it would just bounce in place. And so the AI player will run to the ball, and you obviously can't control how he runs because he has to pick up the ball. So he would run to the ball and he would like slide every single time. The player automatically slides until they slide out of bounds. And so you as the receiving team gets to start at the 1-yard line. And that's something that people could do like every single time, which was annoying. So they get those coffin corner kickoffs. That one guy would do the dive the defensive tackle, shut down all your kicks, your field goals. And then he would... Sometimes I would have to run no huddle because it's the only way I could beat him or do anything against him. And so what he would do is, as the players are lining up in the no huddle scenario, he would audible, which slows all the defensive players down. And so I can't snap the ball until the defensive players are set. And so that he can make all of his adjustments as the defensive players slowly walk up to the line of scrimmage. So that guy seemed to he seemed to have an answer for everything. So it was really frustrating to play that guy. If that guy was online, I would only play him if there was nobody else, and I still wanted to play. Most of the time I was playing with my group, and that was always fun. Probably some of the best online gaming that I've done. Because when you win, it's like you really feel like you earned it. Because it's not like playing the AI. Like, you have to do a couple adjustments when you play the AI, the computer. And when you're playing a player, Everything's an adjustment. Everything. Every touchdown feels earned. Did I just block a dunk? Maybe I did. The gameplay's so fast. I probably did. Blocking dunks is easy. You just slap it out of their hands, right? Come on, Van Exel. Can't take your time here. We're going to do the equivalent of kneeling here. Just going to ride the clock. Almost lose the ball. Boom, a spinning dunk. I think Madden 10 for the PS2 was my first online game. My first online game was probably for the PC. I played an old strategy game called Rome Total War. I played that online a lot. And that was probably around 2010, 2011. No, 2008 maybe? I think it was before 2010. It's 2005 or 6, I think, is when that game came out, so. Don't do a lot of online gaming these days. I have a couple friends that I play some PC games with. But not sports games, because can't really play these games online unless you use Parsec. That'd be fun to do. Play some Parsec versus Avery Johnson. 18 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Blocking dunks is usually hard in video games. Well, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just got up there and slapped it away, I guess. 100% free throw for the Lakers. So I shot 7 3-pointers and only got 1. And I got 66% of my field goals, which I guess is shooting to the basket. 26 out of 39, because that's pretty good. I got 5 blocks, 8 steals, 5 turnovers, 3 personal fouls, 1 fouls to give, don't know what that is, and I used 0 timeouts. Unfortunately, there is no franchise mode in this game. There is a season mode. That might be kind of fun to do. The games are a lot faster. But I think that's going to do it for me. It's kind of fun to take a break from football every now and then. Play some basketball. Maybe I'll play some hockey or something at some point. There's a lot of good 989 sports games out there. And other sports games. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you, Z64, for stopping by. 2000 on PC was the first to have franchise mode, I think. NBA Live 2000, that's probably true. But thanks again. I appreciate you stopping by and chilling in the chat. Hope to see you next time. So I will see you guys in the next one.
Come on, give it to me.